Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday, April 20th, West Fargo City Commission meeting. We call the meeting to order. Please join the commission on a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jorgensen.
Present online.
Commissioner Zundell. Here. Commissioner Dardis.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here. Let the record show all commissioners are participating. Commissioner Jorgensen is joining us virtually. Next order of business is item D, the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. I have a motion and a second to approve the order of the agenda of Monday, April 20th, 2026. Is there any discussion?
I have one question.
Please, Commissioner.
Did we approve the minutes at our special meeting for the August 6th meeting? At our special meeting? No? Okay, are you sure?
We didn't approve any minutes. We have,
What date are you asking about?
When we had our special meeting, I just thought we approved the April 6th minutes at the special meeting, so I just wanted, not that it matters, we never approved, but, okay.
We
that was
did
my
not.
question.
It was not on the agenda.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item E is the approval of the minutes of April 6, 2026. They have been distributed and in the packet.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Olson moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Zundell seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes, April 6, 2026, as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next order of business is item F, is to approve the minutes of April 10, 2026. They have been distributed and in your packet.
Move we approve.
Commissioner Zundell moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 10, 2026 as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item G, Commissioner Jorgensen.
I would like to recuse myself from voting on item G, the building permits, please.
Commissioner Jorgensen has requested be recusal of the building permits as presented due to a conflict.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Anderson moves to approve the building permits as presented for April 20th, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Next order of business is the consent agenda. We have items A through J.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Olson moves to approve the consent agenda, items A through J. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Zundell seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented, items A through J. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We are now in the regular agenda. Item number 1 is public comment. We have two people from the public that have signed up. The first that signed up is Mr. David Withy. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm surprised. I thought that the finance director would be on the agenda presenting a contract proposal for the ERP software. That's what the commitment was when the project was approved, but I don't see him on the agenda. Oh, well, on to other things. In my 50-plus years of working with various organizations, I've always seen the senior staff review and discuss financial statements every month. Always. I've never seen it happen in West Fargo. I'm surprised because taxpayers are always concerned about how their taxes are being used, and yet nobody ever seems to discuss it. Maybe that's why in the 7 of the last 8 audited years, we spent more than we brought in. 4 of those years, the last 4, we spent $3 million more, $4 million more, $4 million more, and $13 million more than we brought in. You know, we can't keep doing that. Today's financial statement, the ones in the consent agenda, we're 3 months into the year. Sales tax revenues are down from last year by 11%. And government fund revenues are down by 9%. Any place else where I would have been, they would already be talking about what do we cut if this continues. So we're prepared, because it's always easier to cut early than it is to cut later. But nobody knows what's going on because we don't discuss the financial statement. And water sanitation revenues are curiously also down a little bit, despite rates being increased. That's surprising. It's also curious that we have $2.5 million in operating expenses this year that are being paid for out of the capital infrastructure tax fund. When that tax increase was approved, the city said that it would never be used for operating expenses. It would only be used for capital infrastructure projects. But here we are using over $2 million of it on operating expenses. I'm also curious about where the $600,000 plus each year for this facility goes, because it doesn't seem to show up on the ledger, on the financial statement at all. So somehow it's being paid for, I guess, off books. So I didn't know we could do that. I'm also curious as to why we're spending a lot of money for the city attorney to protect a public works project that actually increases costs for taxpayers. The city attorney has said that how am I doing my time?
That was the time.
Go?
Yeah.
The city attorney, go is being done, or?
You're done.
Oh, that's what I asked. That's what I asked, but thank you for helping me. I wasn't an expert on that.
The next individual that is signed up is Mr. Steve Marquardt. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, and thank you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. I had a couple things that Mr. Withy had touched on, so I'm not going to get into that as far as where the finances and things are going. But I do have another issue that I have, and the reason I'm here this evening is to bring this issue to light as to why many West Fargo residents do not have trust and confidence in our city commission at this point in time. And it deals with, as Dave said, our financial statements. We're spending more than we're bringing in. You can't operate like that. It's impossible. Very recently, a West Fargo resident approached a member of TAP regarding an incident involving a West Fargo commissioner. The individual was asked by the West Fargo commissioner to write a letter to the commission stating something that both parties knew was not true. The commissioner would not take no for an answer from that person and then asked to speak to a supervisor. And from that, and for the second time, fortunately, was told no again. What does this say about the integrity of our city commission? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next order of business is on the regular agenda is item number 2, a public hearing. At this time, we have no items that require a public hearing, so So we move on to item number 3. Item number 3 is the Public Safety Annual Reports. We call on our Fire Chief first, Mr. Chief Fuller.
Good evening, Commission President Dardis.
Good
members of
evening and
the
welcome.
Commission, and members of the community. It's my privilege to stand before you this evening to present the West Fargo Fire Department's 2025 Annual Report. This report is more than a summary of statistics or charts. It's a reflection of service, preparedness, accountability, commitment. Most importantly, it represents the men and women of the West Fargo Fire Department who answer the call every single hour of every single day, often during moments when our residents are experiencing some of the most difficult days of their lives. Tonight, I'd not only like to share what we accomplished in 2025, but also what those accomplishments mean for our community and the future of West Fargo. West Fargo continues to be one of the fastest growing and most dynamic communities in our region. Growth is exciting. It means new homes, new businesses, new opportunities, and a strong future. But growth also brings increased demand on city services, especially emergency services. In 2025, the West Fargo Fire Department responded to 3,039 calls for service, which represents a 10.1% increase over the previous year. That number is significant, but behind every call is a person, a family, or a business in need. Each one required trained professionals who are ready to respond immediately, assess a situation, solve problems under pressure, and provide reassurance to people during stressful moments. As call volume rises, our department remains committed to maintaining response readiness, professionalism, and reliability. One of the proudest milestones of 2025 was the West Fargo Fire Department earning accredited agency status through the Center for Public Safety Excellence. This is not an award that's handed out casually. It is a rigorous process that evaluates every aspect of a fire department's operations. Only a small fraction of fire departments worldwide achieve this designation. What this means for West Fargo residents is simple. Your fire department has been independently evaluated against the highest professional standards and found to be operating at an elite level. Accreditation also ensures we are not satisfied with where we are today. It requires us to continue improving, measuring outcomes, and adapting to future challenges. It reinforces a culture where we consistently ask, how can we serve our residents better tomorrow than we did today? Public safety is one of the most important investments a city can make. It is also one of the investments that residents rightly expect to be managed responsibly, and we take that responsibility seriously. In 2025, the department achieved an $11.37 to $1 return on investment. That means for every dollar invested in the West Fargo Fire Department, the community received more than $11 in value through property protected, fires controlled, lives saved, and injuries prevented and risk reduced. Our total economic impact for the year was $85 million. And that is an extraordinary return, but it's not accidental. It comes from prevention efforts, training, rapid response and strong operations, and disciplined fiscal management. It also reflects a department that understands that every dollar entrusted to us belongs to the public, and we work hard to maximize that trust. One statistic I'm especially proud of is our fire containment. In 2025, 94% of building fires were contained to the room of origin or smaller. And why does that matter? Because when a fire is stopped early, families may return home sooner, businesses can reopen faster, insurance losses are reduced, displacement is minimized, and emotional trauma is lessened. That percentage reflects the skill of our firefighters and the effectiveness of our training and speed of our response systems. It means that we are not only arriving quickly, but we are solving problems effectively. Additionally, in 2025, our department saved $55 million in property value. That is real wealth that's been preserved in our community. Those homes are still standing, those businesses are still operating, and those families are able to continue to move forward. But none of these results happen by chance. Behind every successful response is a preparation that the public often never sees. In 2025, our personnel completed more than 15,000 hours of training. Training is how we prepare for situations that are unpredictable, dangerous, and time-sensitive. When residents call 911, they do not want us learning on scene. They expect us to arrive ready, and they deserve that expectation to be met every single time. And those 15,000 hours represent professionalism and dedication from our team. Buildings do not serve communities, and equipment do not serve our communities, and budgets do not serve communities, but people do. The success of our fire department is driven by firefighters, officers, support personnel, and families who sacrifice time, energy, and comfort so that others can be safe. They work nights, weekends, holidays, and in dangerous environments. They enter uncertainty when others are leaving it. They do so with humility, courage, and commitment. And I'm proud of the culture that we continue to build, one focused on accountability, teamwork, passion, and excellence. We are proud of 2025, and we are equally focused on the future. West Fargo's continued growth means we must stay ahead of demand rather than react to it. In closing, the 2025 annual report tells a story of a department that is performing at a high level and continuously improving. We responded to more calls, we protected more value, we trained harder, we achieved accreditation, and we remained accountable to the taxpayers who fund us. And most importantly, we continued to be there when our community needed us. On behalf of the men and women of the West Fargo Fire Department, thank you for your continued trust, partnership, and support. It's an honor to serve this city, and we look forward to continuing our mission of protecting life, property, and community well into our future. With that, I'll stand for any questions on the report.
Thank you, Chief Fuller. Commissioners, any questions for the chief? I look forward to reading it in depth. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we'd call on Pete Nielsen, Police Chief for the City of West Fargo, with the annual report for the Police Department. Good evening, Chief, and welcome.
Good evening, Commission President Dardis, fellow commissioners. I stand before you tonight for a brief overview of the 2025 annual report. I sent this off to you last week, so hopefully you had an opportunity to breeze through the annual report of 2025. A few of the highlights I'd like to go over and to share with you. In 2025, one of the big ones was our remodel of the police department, of us taking over the current space that used to be occupied as the city staff. We then moved into that and have continued to expand and to move out of our area where we're now in two separate zones within the actual building. That remodel is complete. The last thing that's happening right now is the courtroom is being done, and there's some, if you walk through there now, there's some borders that are set up, so there's some individuals that are out in the viewing area. They don't have access to the front, so we are doing everything in our power to make sure that the security for even the courtroom in our building is up to date. We're able to spread out in the building, so some of you that have come through in 2025 noticed that we did spread out to that second area. A couple other things I'd like to bring up real quick was we've had two civilian staff members that hit 30 years of service at the police department. Chris Davidson and Tracy Haugen, both of them are serving for over 30 years. We also two additional new ranks of lieutenant were created, and those were for patrol staff, and we promoted Officer Shane Orn to lieutenant and Tim Runcorn to lieutenant. The department saw a slight increase in overall crime in 2025, a 1.5% increase for the year, 11% increase in crimes against persons, which would be simple assault, stalkings, 1.5% increase in crimes against property, but we had a decrease in crimes against society, so our drugs and weapons offenses have went down some. With the increase in overall crime, the community need for law enforcement services continue to grow. As you can see by the annual report, our officers responded to 32,911 calls for services over 2025. That's a 15% increase since 2021. It was about the same as 2024 when it comes to the overall number. So our divisions are very busy when it comes to the calls for service. Our department continues to build and maintain strong relationships with the community. Our COPS unit is out in the community. We are having many different community events that's happening on a daily basis, and this is very good for us as the community trusts the police department, and these are a lot of calls that are generating back to us. Our residents are great partners. We continue to protect them. We continue to do different things within the city to make sure that those are safe, and we're looking at doing new and improved items within the city that I will talk to you about soon. We continue to find new innovative ways to serve our community. We're adapting to increasing the demands which is being placed on our law enforcement officers. Our dedicated team of 83 sworn officers, 15 civilian staff, and 4 part-time CSOs look forward to serving the community, and they do this with pride and professionalism. The 2025 annual report highlights just some of the hard work and dedication, as you can see. But some of the things I'd like to talk about also tonight are our CSOs, our CSO program that we have in place for the last 3 to 4 years. We're now transitioning to some of those CSOs that are moving into the police academy, and we have 2 of those CSOs that are going into the police academy this summer. So our program of these CSOs coming in, working part-time as they go through college, and then getting the opportunity to go through a police academy, and then possibility with employment as patrol officers has been a very wonderful, rewarding system. Those CSOs went to 2,380 calls for service. We had a total of training hours for the year of 2025 of 6,652 hours. We've had 701 investigative cases. So our detective bureau has 701 investigation cases that were assigned, and we followed up on over 1,300 tips through our tip line. With that, the annual report, I told a few people that I would keep this under 5 minutes because there's a few of us up here tonight. And so I encourage everybody to take a look at our annual report that's out there. We also would like to talk about our transparency page. What our transparency page is every single morning it updates online. So you're able to look at our transparency page and see how many people have been arrested, how many DUIs are out there, how many use of force by the officers. Everything is updated every morning. We're as transparent as you can be when it comes to any of the statistics that we have, so please refer to our website for that. Lastly, I would say it's an honor to continue to serve as the Chief of Police and to present this annual annual report, and I stand for any questions.
Questions for Chief Nielsen? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
The next order of business in the regular agenda is item number 4, and we're going to hear from Matt Andvik, the Director of Public Works, regarding the Public Works Annual Report. Good evening, Mr. Andvik, and welcome.
Good evening, Commissioner President, Commissioners. I'm proud to present our 2025 Public Works Annual Report. This is the second year that we've compiled that report. It's nice to be able to get those statistics out of how much we did during the year, because most of the time, if we're doing our job, nobody notices what we're doing, right? As long as you're getting to and from work and you don't hit a pothole or the snow's plowed, your toilet flushes, nobody really thinks about it until something goes wrong. Just wanted to do a few highlights here. We have 103 full-time staff that are really dedicated employees that really care about the city and want to commit to doing the best service as much as possible they can for the residents. Just to highlight that, we have 12 employees that completed our commercial CDL training program. We have some new striping equipment that we've been doing crosswalks in small areas in the roadway. The crosswalks are especially around the schools to make sure we freshen that paint up so it's very visible to the drivers. The right-of-way division expanded the green space and visibility of 2 roundabouts. We took down some brush and actually kind of made it a little bit more appealing, but also the sight lines for drivers a little bit more safe. Our water division, we completed a citywide meter replacement, and that's really with our residential meters. They installed over 875 meters this last year. Our forestry division, they got the 41st year of being the Tree City USA designation, and we did open a new orchard in the Shadowwood area. Just doing, as Public Work, we really are 8 divisions but 1 team. We really focus on that team atmosphere, especially snow season is another one of those. It's all hands on deck depending on the time of year. This past snowstorm we had around Easter, we had a lot of people off for the holiday, but we had water guys, sewer guys, just everybody that could get in was in and helped out. And that's just kind of the mentality that group has. Just some of the division highlights. The street division, we did over about 12,500 tons of asphalt we use for in-house maintenance programs throughout the year. Road right-of-way, there's 500 acres that we mow, manage, and treat. The sewer division, we had over 20,000 miles of sewer line televised and jetted around town. Water, we actually purchased about 1.2 billion gallons of water that came into the city. Fleet and Facilities Department, with their new city fuel station, we had over 167,000 gallons, about 118 plus thousand of diesel and about 49,000 of actually gas, unleaded fuel. The electric division, we do maintain over 4,000, just shy of 5,000 streetlights. 43 planted 425 new trees on top of the boulevard pruning that they were doing. And then the sanitation division, we maintain or service 13,097 locations weekly. That's just some of the highlights. That there's a lot of different statistics and data that we put in there for, if you can go back and look from 24 to 25, we did increase in a lot of those areas. But I will stand for any questions.
Questions from Mr. Andrick, anyone? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to regular agenda items, number 5 is project number 1351, sanitary lift station, lift station number 27, rehabilitation. We call on Jerry Wallace, the city engineer for the city of West Fargo. The purpose of this discussion is to approve both the change order number 2s for ICS Incorporated and JDP Electric. Mr. Wallace, good evening and welcome.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Commission President and Commissioners. I'm here before you tonight. A lot of this credit probably needs to go to Mr. Anvik and his team up at Public Works. They did a lot of the heavy lifting, identifying a lot of these potential cost-saving measures here. I guess I'm before you tonight presenting this because as we walked through taking some of these efforts, we realized if we had this work completed under our current project, we'd get warranty with it. So that's one of the big important items we're trying to address. But essentially, I'm here before you tonight. The Public Works team identified a new form of treatment for us to be able to treat and eliminate, remove hydrogen sulfide gas through the sanitary sewer system. For those that have been around for a little while, probably remember a few years ago, we had to do a north side sanitary sewer project where because of these issues, we had to spend a significant amount of money improving our system on the north side. So these efforts are undertaken to prevent items like that from happening in the future. Essentially, currently, right now, we're adding chemical treatment at various points throughout the city to control our H2S program, or our H2S levels. What Public Works found with engaging with some contractors who are savvy in the ozone treatment process was that when we hooked up an ozone treatment unit at SA 27, which is our big lift just south of the interstate, it nearly reduced the levels of H2S that were showing up at SA 40, our other large regional lift. As you can go through the cover sheet here, you can see that we basically anticipate, should we proceed with switching to ozone instead of chemical treatment, we'll be saving approximately $154,700 a year in chemical treatment costs. Essentially, this work that we're proposing to do under the project, which is being paid for with south side hookup fees, essentially would pay itself off in about a period of 27 months. With that, I'm here requesting approval for change order 2s under our project, one for ICS, which is our prime contractor, to install the ozone equipment and modify SA 27 to be able to house it there, and then the associated electrical work that would go through JDP Electric, who holds the electrical contract on that project. With that, I'll stand for any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Wallace? Mr. Anderson?
Do you know what the lifespan is on this equipment?
I apologize, Commissioner, I do not. I would probably ask Matt if maybe he could shed some light on it for us.
Commissioners, the lifespan on this equipment is roughly about 20 years or so with routine maintenance. It could go longer. I think that's in that packet too. You know, we're looking at between electrical and then just maintenance, anywhere between 10 to 15,000. 15 is probably on the high side. Just, you know, an annual upkeep and electrical, you know, it uses electricity to be able to create the ozone, so we have that, a little extra cost for that. But as far as, you know, the maintenance, normal wear and tear, I think probably for the first 5 to 10 years, fairly minimal, but you just never know when you get in that piece of equipment. Once I think it gets to that 10 to 15, some of the products start wearing out. There are air compressors, a lot of it, there's a few different large ones that run in that. So if anything's going to wear out, it's probably one of those air compressors instead of just the ozone unit itself.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Sundell.
Mr. Anvic, before you sit down, sorry.
Right.
Just because I think it's a good thing to talk about too, the cost comparison between using chemicals in lieu of the system to manage things to be in a normal level. I think you had done a little bit of a cost analysis when it comes to that, but I think that's good information probably here.
Yeah, we you know, just on that little test we did last year, we, you know, it was actually at SA 40 and we were running, it was quite under, the unit that we're using was quite undersized for what we were doing. And we were actually able to drop that down from like 120 gallons or 120 gallons a day down to about 50 or 60, or I think it was down to about 60 and now we're at 50 now. And just doing that over the 6 months is 54,000. I think you remember I was in front of you, I think last fall, getting a budget amendment because our costs for chemicals had gone up so much. We need to stay under a certain limit with Fargo per our contract with them, and that's why we're increasing that, and that's really what led us to be looking for something more that's more sustainable. We did get the cost of that, the chemical we're using down from quite almost $5 to $4.71 last year, but still, if we were staying at the same level going forward, we would have been up around that $400,000 per year in chemical, and that's at this cost. That's, you know, once you start talking inflation and costs rising for that chemical, I mean, we could be well over $500,000-$600,000. So by doing this as a one-time and $300,000, and just that $10,000 to $15,000 over the next 20 years is quite the cost savings versus staying with that chemical.
Thank you.
Any additional questions, commissioners?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Sundell moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the change order number 2 for ICS Incorporated and JDP Electric. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? I did a review of this with Mr. Scott and then on my own, and this is truly bringing this forward, this technology, this methodology, versus the chemicals, which we were doing, is a great cost savings. You know, return of investment in 27 months might seem a long time to some people, but for the dollars involved, it's substantial. So to Public Works, Engineering, great work.
Thank you.
Next order of business is item number 6 is the new water supply, sewage, and street systems and incidentals grant in the second edition. Mr. Wallace will be presenting. The purpose of this discussion is to accept a petition for improvements, create an improvement district number 1358, and direct the engineer to prepare an engineer's report. Mr. Wallace.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Commission President and Commissioners. I'm here before you tonight with this item, essentially one of the few last remaining green fields down in the wilds has essentially petitioned. They're looking to turn the area into a cul-de-sac, basically, with essentially larger buildable lots. A little bit of the history behind this. Initially, when that area of the wilds was developing out, this developer had come forward, and just as part of the, I guess, the historical plans for development with the city, they prepped this area to get it ready for multifamily housing. At the time, they looked at proceeding with the multifamily housing. The market did not really correlate to that being a successful project monetarily for them. They shelved the project. Since that time, their analysis has pointed to that there's a shortage of buildable lots in the city of West Fargo. So they've come back and essentially dropped the petition to look to have streets, street lights, water, sewer, storm extended into the neighborhood there. It seems like it makes sense for that property. They provided a petition for improvements and attorney title opinion showing evidence of ownership of the area. And that, again, I'm here before you requesting a motion to accept the petition, create the improvement district number 1358, and direct the engineer to prepare an engineer's report. And again, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Wallace? Commissioner Olson?
Can you bring up the map of right there? What's that little jut that juts out there on the east side? What is that?
That, so there's a little bit of history to that, but essentially that, at the time the Wilds was being built out, that area functioned as the driveway access for the homestead when
the
folks were still
original.
living there. As part of this project, basically the ownership group has requested that this location be included. I think they're looking to remove that access and just go forward. I included the pending plat there, but as you can see, they're just looking to do a cul-de-sac with some larger quarter acre or larger lots. I know they're looking to advertise it, I think, as a relatively secluded part of the neighborhood. I know there's a lot of trees out there. It sounds like they're talking about a desire to keep them, but that's essentially the project that they're looking to proceed with.
So that driveway will be removed, basically.
That's what they've requested, and that's
All right,
how we're
thank you.
proceeding at the moment.
Commissioner Anderson?
All right, I know we're a little bit early in the process with that when we're talking about special assessments. Can you just remind me and the public that this would be a special assessment project, correct? And then, sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
And then if so, the city would be carrying the special assessment bond until this is paid off by the properties, correct?
That would be correct. The city regularly, any assessed project, typically we go out and bond for it unless it's a very small amount. With that being said, the ownership group, these assessments would only be applied to the area that they own. There's no regional assessments we're looking at. I know the ownership group has asked about trying to somewhat expedite the project. As a result of that, occasionally this results in somewhat higher special assessments. That's a fact of life. But I will say at the city here, we have some excellent tools available to the community and realtors in the area, where once we do know what, future potential assessments are going to be, we actually can put those on our website. And, well before the project is typically even completed, we're able to get those up so that, people don't experience the sticker shock that they may or may not experience in other communities around here.
Thank you.
You bet.
Has there been any discussion with Public Works or Planning and Zoning with regard to the depth of the cul-de-sac? I know that in years past, that was always part of the dialogue is snow removal and services that we provide. Cul-de-sacs make it more difficult.
There hasn't been recent discussion with Public Works on this particular location. As a general rule of thumb, Public Works regularly comments that, when we do put a cul-de-sac in, it typically results in every snow event that we experience throughout the winter can cost, I want to say $3,000 to $5,000 to have the snow cleared and potential snow that needs to be removed taken away. So they do try to minimize them. I guess what I would say is that this seems to make a lot of sense for the remaining, for the final build-out of this particular area of the Wilds.
Thank you. Any additional questions from Mr. Wallace on this item?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Zundell moves to approve item number 6. which is the petition for improvements and create improvement district number 1358. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Let the record show it's a 4-1 vote. Item number 7 is an intersection improvement and incidentals, 9th Street West at Mulberry Lane and 50th Avenue West. Again, we call on Jerry Wallace, the city engineer. Purpose of this discussion is to accept a petition for improvements, create an improvement district number 2301, and direct the engineer to prepare an engineer's report. Mr. Wallace.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Commission President and Commissioners. This next item here is in regard to essentially the Hope Lutheran site down in the wilds. I'm sure everybody can remember they went through a land acquisition and rezoning process not that long ago, looking at a future church in this area. Since that time and since their closing of the property, they have petitioned the city to essentially add a turn lane and, well, actually, it's going to be, they're currently requesting 2 turn lanes and the associated utility work extending from the right-of-way to the right-of-way line of the property. The church site is currently the only property that would be associated with the district. There's no regional assessments associated with this work. But essentially, and this is probably some assumptions that I'm drawing from the church, but I think they're trying to look at ways that they can be least impactful with their operations to the surrounding community, while also taking care to, finish the utility connections they need to service the property. Again, we've received a petition for improvements, the warranty deed expressing evidence of ownership. Also in your packet, obviously, we have the improvement district map and the supporting resolutions. Again, this project would be paid with 100% of the special assessments to the petition property. And with that, again, I'm here before you looking to accept the petition for improvements, create improvement district number 2301, and direct the engineer to prepare an engineer's report. And I'm available for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Wallace? Commissioner Zundel?
Was this always a part of this plan?
I know that there was a turn lane that was in the developer agreement when the church originally came forward. I believe that was the north turn lane, the left turn in to their site that was proposed. And at that time, as part of the agreement, it was that should be essentially a petition for improvement. Since then, the church actually asked if they could have an additional turn lane. And then we had discussed that there's some, call it unique utility challenges with the current site. They want to do things like run a water main loop through there. And then there's also some items where in the future, should the adjacent area just to the east look to develop, we would have needed a utility corridor to get utilities over to that area. And they're taking care of essentially putting in some stubs for those so that they wouldn't have to be interrupted in the future should that work happen. That's the evolution of where we got today.
Any additional questions for Mr. Wallace?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Olson moves to approve. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Zundel seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the intersection improvements and incidentals at 9th Street West and Mulberry Lane and 50th Avenue West and create a District 2301. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
We have, again, a 4-1 vote. We move on to item number 8. This project number 2293, 9th Street Northeast, grade separation. Call on Jerry Wallace, city engineer. Purpose to accept a bid and award a contract. Mr. Wallace.
Thank you again, Commission President Dardis and Commissioners. Pretty excited about coming forward with this one. As everybody knows, We've been hard at work looking at a grade-separated crossing up by the BNSF railroad tracks just north of Main Avenue on 9th. We held a virtual bid on April 8th and received 4 bids. The low bidder was Industrial Builders. They came in with a bid amount of $23,969,611.83. This amount actually came in below the bidding engineer's, the engineer's opinion of probable cost at the time of bid. This essentially is great news. A great West Fargo company here. I guess for any remaining background, we've had this project in the works for quite a long time, and we got through some administrative delays finally, and we're hopeful that we're able to award this project soon and start construction. Just a quick hint on the financial analysis. We estimated the project cost based on the bid to be total in the vicinity of around $31,891,000. Mr. Hansen did an outstanding job of essentially getting over $20 million in raise grant funds to go towards payment for that. Currently, we're also looking at using about little over $5.8 million in prairie dog funds in funding. BNSF also chipped in $600,000 for the project, which will leave us with a remainder of a little over $5 million that we're essentially recommending to pay for via capital improvement sales tax funds or a bond. But again, I'm here before you tonight, excited about this one, looking for a motion to accept the bid and award the contract to Industrial Builders for $23,969,611.83. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Wallace?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Zendel moves to approve the project number 2293, and have a second, Commissioner Olson, for the 9th Street Northeast grade separation. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 9 is project number 9021, wastewater serviceability and risk reduction study. We call on Dan Hansen, the Senior Director of Community and Development. The purpose of the discussion is to approve modifying the sewer agreement with Mapleton to include the upsizing of the force main east of 38th Street Northwest. Mr. Hansen, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner President Dardis and Commissioners. Back in May of 2019, the cities of Mapleton and West Fargo entered into a memorandum of understanding for a future connection of their sewage system to be pumped through ours, and eventually, as we pump ours to Fargo, it would be pumped to Fargo as well. So we're basically a middleman for their sewage, and that MOU, as it was written, is very outdated. So we have had a number of different discussions and meetings with the city of Mapleton to go through, and we're in the process of amending that memorandum of understanding over the past year. We'll have another meeting set up with them upcoming this next week, possibly to discuss what might transpire here with this potential commission action. And basically what you see on the screen right there is Mapleton is going to have a 14-inch force main that is intended to come through the diversion. They've got all the easements for the most part in place for that. They're looking to complete their design of the project in May and then bid it out in June. And you can see where the green force main as 14-inch comes in. Left alone to their project, they would just continue to run that 14-inch force main all the way through, go across our property on the south side of our lagoons, and eventually connect in the neighborhood of where SA 40 is. Not before SA 40, it would be basically pumped around SA 40 and connect into the force main after it leaves SA 40. That is basically what the MOU currently states that they would be planning to do. Recently, we've been discussing with them the potential, given some of the research that Moore Engineering has been doing with this wastewater serviceability and risk reduction study that we've been undertaking. Basically, what Moore Engineering has been doing is taking a look to see how in the future are we going to service all of our extraterritorial boundaries with sanitary sewer, and what are we going to do as far as a redundant lift station, and because right now our existing system is at capacity. One of the things that they have come back with the results of that study is basically to service the area that is southwest. You can see in the green area, it's labeled EA-A, I believe, and they labeled it around the Horn force main. The reason for that is, again, the sewage that comes out of that, roughly 2.5 square miles, can't go through our existing system. Or I guess I should say there's a lot of challenges if we were to pump it into that existing system without some form of equalization pond, which we're not really in favor of putting in that area. So basically everything needs to come into a force main that goes all the way around and connect up also near SA-40 or into the lagoon area and the future lift station that would be installed for that. That gets us to today. This is an opportunity that we've been discussing with them, where basically, since they're already installing a 14-inch force main through that area, what we would do is we would work with them to modify the memorandum of understanding so that way in their design, they would increase that force main from a 14-inch to a 24-inch, roughly basically just north of the Raymond interchange. And at that point in time, that 24-inch force main, so upsize it from 14 to 24-inch, that would be sized basically to take in all of the green area to the south, the blue area, and the red area that you see. Roughly about 2,500 acres, I believe, was the boundary that we did. It would cost us, and I don't have a number for this, but it would cost the city of West Fargo a lot more. Say somebody wants to come and develop at the Raymond interchange, or say that southwest growth area somehow takes off first. We're years away from being able to get a force main over there, and it's miles of pipeline that we would have to install at a much greater cost. So this is, in my opinion, an opportunity for us to pay the oversizing costs that it would take in their bid. And so they would bid their project out as the 14-inch force main going all the way through, and they would put the oversizing of the force main in our area that we would like them to do that. They would bid that out as an alternate, and so after the bids come in, we would know exactly how much more it costs that project to increase the force main in the areas that we would be able to use and service. And rough numbers that are in the packet, I can scroll down there, or maybe you can scroll down, it's not working here from here, but you can see there is about $1.389 million is what it would cost Mapleton to construct that. To change it to a 24-inch where we're looking at rough numbers, and these are just construction costs, is about, I believe, $2.638 million, leaving a difference of about $1.25 million cost difference. That doesn't include any contingencies, soft costs, anything like that. So I was very, very conservative in the numbers and the financial analysis that I put in here, I believe, where I stated that the construction cost would be approximately $1.5 million, and ultimately with soft costs and everything included on it, it would be less, in my opinion, less than $2 million for us to do this. We don't have a report or an engineer's report or anything like that that has analyzed it to the degree where we have actual true engineer's estimates for this. We do have that engineer's estimate that you see on your screen, and then putting in basically some fluff factors to be conservative. That's where we landed on the numbers that we have here. And what we would look to do is, if we wanted to move forward with this, they would bid it out, have the alternate. We would come back, if we are deciding that we do want to modify the MOU with Mapleton to include this work, we would come back at a future commission meeting in the very near future to create a separate project number, and we would produce an engineer's report that would be able to drill in and get better numbers. And I'm fairly confident that those numbers will come in less than what we're presenting tonight. The urgency for tonight is that, again, they need to finish their design here by next month, and they're planning on bidding it out in June. So this would basically, with the motion that we would be looking for to approve modifying the sewer agreement with Mapleton to include the upsizing of the force main east of 38th Street, this would basically give them direction to start the work, to put this into their bid, and we would follow up with an engineer's report and for commission approval at that date, at a future commission date. One of the things, again, just to mention with this does truly unlock a lot of area that we can be able to service with sanitary sewer, which is the hardest thing for the growth area to be serviced by with this improvement, and at the cost of less than $2 million. It is quite, in a way, cheap for us to be able to do these improvements. The way that we would look to pay for it would be included in the engineer's report that would be coming back, but whether we use capital improvement sales tax dollars, a loan, a bond, however we would get the money that we would use to pay for this, we would be looking to set up some form of a connection fee, a hookup fee that we would put on this extraterritorial areas, because obviously we're not assessing areas in our extraterritorial area. As they come into the city, as they get platted, much like we did with SA 27 when we had a lot of undeveloped land south of the interstate, we very successfully implemented a program that helped us repay ourselves for the installation of that very expensive lift station. I would say this improvement of the increased cost of this force main, a future redundant lift station, things that we need to do ahead of all of this growth area that's coming, we would look to expand on those hookup fees for costs that are incurred that we can't recoup through assessments right with the project, and utilize those hookup fees much as we did with SA 27. So in my opinion, this is a very good deal for the city of West Fargo if we can do this, but that's ultimately up to you. So we would be looking for a motion to approve modifying the sewer agreement with Mapleton to include the upsizing of the force main east of 38th Street Northwest. And with that, I would stand for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Hanson? Commissioner Olson?
With the MOU we have with Mapleton, do we address the H2S levels that we're dealing with right now with the ozones and all that kinds of stuff? Because that's a long way to
Yes.
pump it. And are they going to have their own kind of system so we don't have to foot the bill for them to maintain all that?
The way that it is written is that Mapleton is considered an industrial user, and they are required to, we are going to have a testing station prior to it entering our system, and they are going to have to do some measures to do that. So it is,
Okay.
that is part of the MOU.
Thank you.
Additional questions?
Good question.
Anyone?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Olson moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve modifying the sewer agreement with Mapleton to include the upsizing of the force main east of 38th Street Northwest and project number 9021. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Item number 10 is an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with regard to the municipal judge coverage with Mr. Dan Phillips as the alternate municipal judge. We call him Mr. Dustin Scott, City Administrator for the City of West Fargo. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioner President Dardis and Commissioners. As you are well aware now, Judge Barkus is done at the end of April. So we have been working with one of our alternate judges to temporarily take over the duties of our municipal judge position. Nick Lee worked with our city attorney and our clerk of court to put this MOU together, and it just establishes basic terms and conditions as well as how we will financially compensate our alternate judge during this temporary time. So following the election and the swearing in of our new municipal judge, this will terminate. With that, I would stand for any questions.
Questions from Mr. Scott, this issue?
Move we approve.
Commissioner Zundell moves to approve with the memorandum of understanding with Dan Phillips as the alternate municipal judge. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Mrs. Scott, please move on to your city administrator's report.
Thank you again, Commission President Dardis and Commissioners. Well, first and foremost, I want to pause and just give a warm thank you to our fire, police, and public works departments. They gave a very brief presentation today of their annual reports, but their work is superior to all. I'm just always humbled in the opportunity to get to work with them. They do a fantastic job looking for efficient ways to keep our city safe, functioning, operating, and I can't thank them enough for all that they do. So when you get a chance, do a deep dive into those annual reports. There is a lot of good information there. So again, thank you to those departments. A brief update on the budget and the 2027 budget. We are at a point now where department heads are submitting their expenditure requests. We hope to compile all of this information over the next week or two. We're also starting to take a look at revenue forecasting. Of course, a lot of the revenues aren't determined until mid to late summer, especially with the state aid and some of those other external resources. So, but we will have a snapshot of where our expenditure requests are coming in, if not later this week, certainly next week. The goal is to begin meeting with commissioners about a month from now, mid to late May. We'll sit down and start going through departmental requests. Some of the department heads have already started engaging their portfolio holders, so I hope there's good dialogue there and we're getting feedback. And then, as I've mentioned before, we intend to bring the first draft of the preliminary budget to the June 15th meeting. Of course, that's our last opportunity to engage this current commission with feedback on the budget. So all things are going well. Nick has really got a well-oiled machine in terms of the budget process, and so I think things are going to come together shortly, and hopefully we'll be able to engage commissioners in about a month. With that, any questions before I move on?
Please continue.
So an update on our ERP system. We are down to 3 final proposers. Demonstrations are scheduled for this week and next. These are the final demonstrations. From there, we will compile all of the information and put together a recommendation that'll come before the City Commission. We're hoping by May, but of course that depends on how everything shakes out and goes. It's possible that we need to narrow it down from 3 to 2 and have additional process, but we're hopeful that after these final demonstrations, we will have a good idea of a recommendation to bring forward to the City Commission. If all goes well, we could be entering contracts the first or second meeting in June. So, any questions on the ERP? No? Okay, next. As you know, our HR director is about a month in. She has been diving into a lot of work. She's been doing a fantastic job getting her arms around everything that's going on. She has been meeting with a lot of the departments, just getting her feet on the ground. We are certainly very excited and proud to have her amongst our team, and we look forward to all the good work she's going to be doing. In the near future, she's already identified some policy type adjustments, so hopefully she'll be before you before too long with some of that work that she's been doing. So, and then lastly, I just want to give recognition. It is National Library Week. The library has some fun activities planned throughout the week, so if you have got time, take a look at what those activities are, get out and help support our library. And with that, I would stand for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Scott? You're good.
All right, thank you.
All correspondence has been distributed, commissioners, in your mailboxes. Does any commissioner have any non-agenda item that they bring up this night? Commissioner Olson.
Just a reminder to the public that for public comments, The comments must be limited to what is actually on this agenda, or the agenda before us when they want to speak, or the previous one.
All right, thank you. Anyone else with the non-agenda item? Emily, the annual reports of Public Works, Fire, and Police, they'll be posted on, could you,
Yes, they'll all be published on their department pages.
so they go to the department, and that's where the annual report
Yes,
in
for
its
each one.
entirety will be?
Yes, yep.
Very good. All right. Anyone else? Anything non-agenda? Any department head have anything you'd like to bring forward this evening? Commissioner Olson?
Move to adjourn.
Commissioner Anderson?
Second.